wonderful listeners. How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining me. What the hell is this idiot doing? God, people standing on the side of the road on a narrow highway. Um, hey, everybody, how's everyone doing? I hope everybody is having a tremendous pre-summer, early summer. It is June 13th, which some of you may know is a particularly important day. Today's my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Got some news to share with you guys, got some stuff to talk about. I know I haven't been around for a while, but today's going to be, if nothing else, it's going to be sort of a short mini bonus episode because we do have some important big time news to share about the show, about the future of the show, about my yeah, let's go ahead and turn the music off. All right, so we got some stuff to talk about today. And again, I hope everyone's doing well. I know I haven't been around much lately. You guys, many of you know, those of you who know me, and those of you who listen to the show regularly know it's been a somewhat chaotic couple of months. So, yeah, the podcast and everything's had to kind of take a back seat, but we have some big news to share about that and about potentially the future of the show and where we may go from here. So, lots of stuff to dive into there. And I also just haven't done a show because it's the off season, and I mostly talk about football. I mean, I do like basketball, you guys know that, but when there's only one series going on, even though it has been an incredible series and a crazy playoffs in general. Yeah, maybe there hasn't been that much to talk about, but well, no, that's not true. I just haven't talked about it. I don't know. But it's the off season with football, and that's been my main thing. But we do have some stuff to talk about, and it's not Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, friends, welcome back. So, those of you who listen to the show and who know me know that I'm going through a bit of a career transition, I suppose. Our station is closing at the end of this month, and I'm apparently going to keep working for a couple of weeks after that, and then get a severance pack out of other stations, and get severance and start doing some other stuff. Which that's whatever. The point is that we've got some big news about the future. You are now listening to the newest contributor, regional contributor covering the Tennessee Titans for Fansided. So I will actually be writing and getting paid to write, covering the NFL, covering my favorite team for a major publication. And so, with that being the case, I think the podcast is probably also up to get a boost in listeners as well as the YouTube channel. It's in my little author bio, which I just submitted yesterday. Um, so yeah, those of you who've been with me now and before, you guys got in on the ground floor of something that might end up being a pretty big deal. I'd kind of given up on this actually turning into anything, but now, I mean, writing about football, even though, I'm sure I'm not going to make enough like early on at least to like make a living from this one thing. But, even just getting paid to write about football, that's a dream come true. That's wonderful. And I'm still, it's still the very early stages. I've just been doing the onboarding stuff for them the past week. Like I said, I submitted my little author bio yesterday and done some little tutorials and whatever. Um, and I'm not sure. I just asked actually yesterday, will I also be writing on other sports and stuff as well? Like, I wanted to know if I'll be able to write on the NFL at large, college football, NBA, and other stuff. And hopefully I will. I don't know if I will be right away, but I'm sure eventually I will hopefully be able to branch out and write about other things because, yeah, there's only so much you can talk about during the off season, especially like training camp without actually being there to see it. But yeah, I mean, very, very super exciting news, and hopefully that's gonna, mean some success in this world of sports media, which I, didn't. I don't know. I mean, I guess I hoped for, but yeah, this is my foot in the door with a major publication where potentially millions of people are going to read my words, my thoughts, my name, my opinions and ideas about football. I mean, Awesome, right? And I'm going to get paid for it. How cool is that? So that's the big news. And again, I'm going to have to, I've been putting in applications because I know I'm going to have to probably find a day job as well, another one. And I've got some things in the works with that. If nothing else, I might just do some freelance copywriting stuff. But I've got some things in the works as far as that goes as well. But that's the big news. The fan sided Tennessee Titans regional contributor Derek Persley. Actually, I'm going to go by my initials because I always thought that was what I would do as a fiction, as an author. When I still want to do that, by the way. But it's going to be HDW Persley, which is also all my social media handles and stuff. So that'll make it a little easier on that. But yeah, great stuff, right? So pretty exciting. I'm really excited. It's good because I'm usually really depressed on my birthday, so I guess I've got that to sort of be excited about. And I found out I didn't just find out today. I found out about it, I think Monday, maybe earlier this week, or I don't know, a few days ago. And I've been ever since then sort of trying to do the onboarding stuff. You guys know I don't have a lot of time to do anything. And especially this week has been insane at work. So yeah, but super exciting stuff and lots to look forward to and be hopeful about with the future of my career and maybe our little podcast that we do here. I'm going to take a break and we will actually talk about some sports stuff. Alrighty, friends, welcome back. So, I don't really have all that much on the docket, on the notes, the list of topics for today. Aaron Rodgers is officially a member of the Steelers, and that is the extent of our Aaron Rodgers coverage because I am so sick of hearing about him and all of that. Um, but we've got NBA Finals Game 4. The Thunder are still favored to win the series, even though they're down 2 games to 1. I I think that's wrong. I think the Pacers are going to win this series. I did not think that going in. I thought, it's probably going to be like I thought the Pacers were going to give them more of a fight than most people did. I thought it would be a 6, maybe 7 game series. But yeah, I mean, every single major media personality and outlet and writer and all that picked the Thunder to win game 1, to win the series. Many of them were picking them to win the series in 4 or 5 games. And now they're down 2-1. And look, the Pacers. Evan Cohen on Unsportsmanlike actually said something I found really interesting the other day, and he said they remind him of like a great college team that makes a run in the NCAA tournament, and that's kind of that. I thought that was actually a pretty good comparison or analogy. Like that's sort of what they're like. Like no one saw this team coming. Like like back with UConn and Kemba Walker a few years ago, like a team that's just no one realized how good they were until they started tearing everybody up in the playoffs. And I mean, you go back, they beat Milwaukee, was it 5 games? And I know Damian Lillard was out for at least the first game. He might have been out for the first 2 games, but then he came back, and either way, they've still got Giannis and the rest of the team. And the Pacers took care of them pretty easily. And then they take on the number 1 seed in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, again, the a big part of that one was injuries, but I think by game 2 they had most of their team relatively at least playing, and the Pacers just absolutely handled them as well. Although I think in all of these series they won game 1 and then lost game 2, but then just took control from there. Um, and then the Knicks, was it 5 or 6 games? I think it was 6 games in which they beat the Knicks. But this is a team that has yet to go to a 7 game series. I know that, and was like a 50 something win team in the East. But if people had been paying attention, maybe they would have seen this coming because. You've heard about it since then, like since January, the Pacers have been one of the best teams in basketball, and just nobody was really paying attention. And it's also in large part because, they don't really have big name superstars on their team. They're in a small market, so that's going to be a part of it. So nobody's really going to be paying that much attention to them. They don't have an MVP caliber player like SGA or, anybody, a big marquee player. I mean, the closest thing I guess they have is Halliburton, but I mean, this team, and then the team it reminds me of is another Rick Carlisle team, and that's that Dallas team that kind of screwed up everything for everybody. Because if you remember, I don't remember what year that was, but that was supposed to be the year that it was we were going to get Kobe versus LeBron in the finals, right? I mean, it was Kobe and Pau Gasol and the Lakers were at the height of their powers. LeBron had joined Miami, and they were gonna, it was just destiny. It was supposed to happen. And then the Mavericks just come out of nowhere and ruin it for everybody and, knock out the Lakers and then go on to win the championship. That's kind of what this Pacers team reminds me of. And that was obviously also a Rick Carlisle team. Like, I think he is one of he is one of the best coaches in the sport. And he's kind of been forgotten lately. But this dude, if you give him the right pieces, he just knows how to win in playoff basketball. And that's kind of what's been happening. And it seems like despite how what the juggernaut that Oklahoma City was in the regular season, like it seems like the Pacers might just kind of have their number, just sort of be built to beat them. Um, and look, I had the Pacers on the money line and also won some parlays, and I'm doing the same one. If you guys want to, now I'm not as confident in it in Game 4. I was really confident that they were going to win Game 3. I thought they were the line was way too high on that, and it's about the same, I think, for game four. I'm not as confident about game four as I was about game three, but I do think the Pacers still have a good chance of winning even this one. And at the money, where the money is, where the spread is, where the money line is, like it's plus 200 on some sites right now. I think it's worth putting a little bit on them. I also did a parlay in game three, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it again in game four, which is the Pacers money line, or you could do the Pacers spread if feel because I feel like that's the safer bet probably. Although when Oklahoma City wins, it seems like they win big. So I don't know. I mean, you might as well do the money line. I don't know. But anyway, what I did was the Pacers money line and Siakam over 20 points and Halliburton over 15 points. On one app I did that was plus 550 for that. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Again, I'm not as confident as I was in game three. Like I really felt like the Pacers were going to take game three. It was the first game at home. Go motherfucker. Okay, I'm just gonna have to. Good Lord, I hate people. Sorry about that. As you guys know, this is Talking Sports at Work, and I'm driving, and people do not know how to do that. Anyway, sorry about that. So, a little bit, yeah. Anyway, Pacers, I'm taking them again in game four. I think they've got a good chance of going up 3-1. Now, if that happens, I do think the Thunder will win and at least push it to six, but they're in trouble, man. And this, I mean, everybody was ready to crown SGA to coronate the the Thunder as the new dynasty in the NBA, and Sam Presti as the new genius of sports. And while I do think most of that is warranted, like the Thunder are still just getting started. Like they're not. This is not the last time they're going to be in the finals. And even if they lose this one, this has still been a great season, obviously. And they're so young, and they're loaded with draft picks where they can go and either draft more good young players or more likely go and trade for somebody and veteran talent and go make a run and really try to build something resembling a dynasty, even with as hard as that is in the modern salary cap era. Um, but all of that's still true. Sam Presti is still one of the best GMs in all of sports. This is still an incredible team that is still very young and getting better. SGA is one of the best players in the game and could, in fact, still be getting better himself. So all of that's still true, but I think they're going to lose this series. I don't think they're going to win the championship this year. It's not going to be their last chance, but I think the Pacers are being up 2-1 now. And especially if they get this game, yeah, obviously. But, the experts, Vegas, all of the media still have the Thunder as the favorites. So that's yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of that and try to make some money off of it if I can. But anyway, I'm gonna take one more quick break and we'll talk about some other stuff. All righty, friends, welcome back. So, as I said, I don't really have all that much on the docket for today. The one other thing I thought that we could talk about was really what I wrote for my little sample article for the fan-sided job, which was really just something that I've talked about. It was kind of just sort of an overview of the Titans' current situation and why there's reason to be not just hopeful, but actually optimistic for it feels like the first time in a long time. And I know that I've talked about all of these factors, quite a bit over the last year or so, or, at least the last several months. But I felt like it was worth sort of just discussing again because, look, I mean, we all know what it all depends on. It all depends on the guy wearing number one, which, I'm glad that Warren Moon was a part of that and, had that little ceremony where he gave him that jersey. Because, again, you guys may know my thoughts on this. Warren Moon means nothing to Tennessee fans. I understand he was a great player, an important, black quarterback when that wasn't a you know, very common thing. But he never played a snap in Tennessee, as far as I know. So I don't understand why we would care anything about his number being retired. So I was very glad that he did that and allowed Cam Ward to take the number for the franchise that, used to be the Houston Oilers. Um, Although I do not like how other players kind of started to do that, particularly Abdul Carter was trying to get Phil. He was trying to get Lawrence Taylor's number. Then he was trying to get Phil Sims's number, or it might have been the other way around. I don't remember which one he did first, but I don't like that. There's a like that's different. Like those are the New York Giants retired numbers. Those numbers are retired for a reason. You don't just go ask guys to use their retired numbers. That's why. Why would you think that's okay? Why? I mean, was it because of the Cam Ward thing? Because again, if he didn't understand that there were some different circumstances there, then that's on him. But there were different circumstances there. Like Warren Moon, again, means absolutely nothing to Tennessee Titans fans. It's just like Earl Campbell really means nothing to us. I understand he was great for this franchise, but this franchise meant nothing to us until it moved to our home state. Um, but as far as Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor, I mean, come on, those are New York Football Giant legends. So I wasn't a big fan of that. Anyway, that's not what I was trying to talk about. Um, Cam Ward has the entire hopes and dreams of all Titans fans on his shoulders right now, but he seems to understand the assignment. He seems to be like the perfect, calm, cool, confident leader, and is just you've yet to see or hear or read anything negative about him. Like, I think he threw an interception in practice the other day, but then went on to complete like 15 or 18 straight after that. Like, and just everything you read about him is glowing. And I know none of this really matters. It's all about what he's going to do on the football field. But based on what we can see so far, there is a lot of reason to be optimistic. And then, the three biggest factors for a franchise, and I have talked about this a lot. There are really three factors to a successful franchise. And I believe it's in this order. It's quarterback, coach, GM. Even though in terms of authority and whatever, those might be reversed. I think in terms of how important those are for the success of your team, it's your quarterback, it's your coach, it's your GM. Right now, all of those are question marks. All of those are relatively new or unproven, but all of them so far look pretty good. The quarterback, we talked about that. There's so much reason to be excited about him, and I'm so glad that the Titans didn't do something stupid like they, hinted at they might trade the pick away or, take a different position player or something ridiculous. I'm glad they just did the smart, obvious thing and took that guy that, reminds a lot of us of Steve McNair. Um, Mike Borgonzi, although there's a little bit of uncertainty about who's really the GM and who's really calling the shots, he has the title of GM and is getting the credit for having what I believe was an outstanding draft and did a really good job of free agency, not going on a crazy spending spree like we're going to try to win the Super Bowl right now, but getting veteran players to improve what was to basically build from the inside out, which is exactly what we needed to do. You're drafting a young quarterback. What's got to be the number one priority? Protect him. That has been the biggest weakness of this team. A couple of years ago, we had the worst line in football. Now it looks like it could very well be a strength of the team with the addition of Dan Moore, who is not, a star tackle, but he has gotten pretty consistently better each year, I think, and was a good starting tackle for the Steelers for the last couple of years. I think he was a good addition, and I've talked about this as well. I think it also essentially takes care of two positions for us because it allows J.C. Latham to move to what's his natural side, which is the right side, and show his Pro Bowl potential that allowed him to be a first round draft. So now you've got your bookends for at least the near future. You draft Kevin Zeitler, who is, no spring chicken, but still has proven that he is a reliable, very good guard. And then you've got, Peter Skoronsky and Lloyd Cushenberry, who are two good young players. I mean, Cushenberry's, I guess, a veteran at this point, but Skoronsky's, a really good young left guard. That could be one of the, a better offensive line in the league, which is maybe the most important thing for a young quarterback in terms of, players on the field. You also did an outstanding job in the draft, I thought. And I've talked about this, that fourth round, especially, they knocked it out of the park. Then in undrafted free agency, they went and got his buddy from Miami and Restrepo, which is only going to help. So I think Mike Borgonzi has done a great job of, understanding the position that we're in. This is the beginning of a rebuild. Let's build from the inside out. Let's protect our franchise quarterback. And yeah, and then another big question mark, though, is still Brian Callahan. I've talked a lot about him, like what we can judge quarter or coaches on did not look good for him last year. It's a lot harder to judge a coach than it is a player, but excuse me, the things that you can judge because the coach, most of his job is stuff we don't see. We don't actually see him perform on the field. So it's a lot harder for someone on the outside to judge the performance of a coach than it is for a player. But the things that you can use, how we did not cover, we were the worst team in the NFL in covering kicks. We were one of the worst special teams probably overall in the league last year. We were second in the league and second most penalties in the league, showing a lack of discipline. We undoubtedly earned that number one overall pick by getting blown out multiple times and just not being competitive, not being a good team. Those are not good signs for a first year head coach. But he had Will Levis was obviously not the answer. He's an offensive minded guy who likes to throw the ball. And so if your quarterback is not good, then it's hard for a guy like that to be successful. Now, with a super talented, smart, young quarterback of his choosing, this, Cam Ward might actually be able to might make Brian Callahan look a lot better as a coach and actually be a lot better as a coach. So there's just a lot of reason to really be optimistic about the future of the Titans. I'm not saying we're making the playoffs or anything like that next year, but I think if we can be around 500 and show some real improvement, and obviously we can show that we have the quarterback, we have the coach, then boy, that's really all you can realistically want and hope for and expect out of this team next year. And I think Titans fans should be excited about that. Anyway, I'm going to take one more quick break and then we'll probably just go ahead and wrap things up. Oh, sorry, friends. I pushed the wrong button there. Anyway, so welcome back. I hope everyone's doing fantastic. Like I said earlier, you will be hearing more from me, I guess, now. I'll be getting back to doing regular episodes, even though, I'll have to find stuff to talk about because I'll have to find stuff to write about. But keep an eye out on the Fan-Sided website. I'll keep you posted on how those things go. And, if hopefully from there I can maybe get onto some other big sites as well and really, get this whole sports writing thing going as a career. I mean, that's how awesome is that, right? So, yeah, stay tuned to the podcast. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Everyone have a safe weekend this weekend. And I'll talk to you again soon. All right. Love you. Bye.